They don't. I feel they're not trying to keep elderly people alive. They really. I mean, I'm overbearing, but my daughter is like, "What are you about to put in? What's in the injection? Let me Google." No, I don't want you. I mean, they're like she could run an army because you don't know what they're doing. So we stay there night and day, night and day, night and day until they get better. People who die a lot of time is because the family are not like supervising the doctors. I don't know, but we like overbearing. They allow us to sleep night and day, and we have a rotation of my nephews, my daughter, my sons. 24/7 of us is with our elder. They find us extremely overbearing, but we look at them like, and but now they're okay though. So
Thank you for doing what you do. And
yeah, but
for
I always advise people you should not leave your elderly. It's like with your newborn. No, you stay with them. I don't care what they do. People don't realize it's your right to ask to stay overnight. They don't know that. You just got to petition. How do you say petition for it?
yes. For me, I know that they're sometimes hesitant if they're not family, immediate family members, but I have been granted a stay.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining. We've got not quite a quorum yet, but there's some things we can do before that, before we get quorum. So let's start with general public comment. So anyone in the general public, if you could raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and you'll have 2 minutes. And I'll start with Henri.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see everybody virtually. Pleasure meeting everybody yesterday. I wanted to talk about seeing if either individual personal capacity or officially via a CAS report or otherwise, this neighborhood council could talk either to the mayor and or the city council on an issue of the various committees repeatedly taking away virtual public comment. One of my very good friends, she's disabled and she can't make it out. It's just bizarre to me that the city talks on one end about accessibility and increasing transparency and access for people, but yet the easiest thing they could do is continue to make their meetings not only virtual to see, but to actually place public comment. I know it's not always perfect, but I think realistically, when you take a look at their infrastructure, from the video equipment to the microphone equipment to even the Zoom licenses, as far as the city committees and even city council proper is concerned, they don't need to spend any extra money. They don't need to buy any extra equipment. They just need to do their dang job and actually take the comments remotely and virtually. And I think that's something that this neighborhood council, I would love to see petition. I think it just makes sense. I'm glad that you guys still do it because, again, neighborhood councils seem to have a heck of a lot more common sense, decency, and actual care for their constituents than the city council does. And so I just wanted to bring that before you. I am pushing hard on it, and I hope that there's some level of support that I can count on the neighborhood council on that. So I'll yield the rest of my general public comment time, and I'll wait for agenda items.
Great, thank you. Tom.
Thanks, Jens. So last month, I gave a public comment that I called Capital Infrastructure Plan Musical Theater Love Song for Los Angeles. There's a really good response to it. And I was, sorry, as I was reflecting on it the following day, I wrote this down. Capital Beautiful City. I've connected with Noreen about this and also to Thier, who is part of the new board representing service providers. So the three of us are looking to put together a capital infrastructure plan gathering for downtown. So I'm bringing this up because I want to make sure that a special invitation is extended to this current board for when that happens. And the purpose of Capital Infrastructure Plan, the musical, as advocacy is to emphasize equity and transparency in the creation of a capital infrastructure plan for Los Angeles. Thanks. And I yield my 53 seconds.
Great, thank you. All right. So, let's see how we're doing on attendees here. We are close.
Jen, while we're waiting for folks, do you want to have representatives from city departments, states, and other agencies give reports?
Yeah, that would be great. So, could you raise your hand if you're here from city, county, state, or federal elected positions or representatives? I can allow you to speak. All right, doesn't look like we have anyone here that wants to speak, but I know we do have LADOT. So does Zachary Campos, do you want to present? Great, and we'll make you a panelist here. All right. I've made you a panelist. Do you want to share your screen or give your presentation? Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Yeah, give me one moment. I'll go ahead and get this started up right now.
And
And we don't
Mr.
see
Chair,
anybody. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Anna. Mr. Chair, well, I think we have about 11 folks that were from our board, so we just need 2 more. And if those folks do arrive during Zachary's presentation, I would recommend we just hold that presentation just very quickly. If that happens, just to call, just to get the roll call going and officially call the meeting to order.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Can you all see that?
No. Yes.
Okay, great. So hello everyone. My name is Zachary Campos. I'm one of our transportation planners with LADOT. Really happy to be speaking in front of you all today. I'm here to present on Code the Curb. This is an update to our project. I did present to the Livability Committee probably about a year ago. So some of this may be new, some of this may be familiar, but yeah, I just wanted to quickly give you all a little bit of an update. So on the last time that I was here with the Livability Committee, I provided a quick survey. So I just wanted to kind of provide this up front for everyone. This is just a quick understanding of how users interact with the curb in downtown LA. And it's pretty relevant for our project for Code the Curb. So this map right here just kind of identifies some of the areas where we got feedback on where folks would like to see or see conflicts at the curb and would like to see maybe some sort of improvements. But I'll go ahead and hop into really what I'm here to talk about, and that's going to be Code the Curb. So what is Code the Curb? Code the Curb is an initiative that LADOT has. It's essentially a digital curb asset management project. The goal of the program is to digitize our curbside assets. Think of our parking regulations, street signage, parking meters, and so forth. This picture on the right kind of exemplifies that pretty well, I think, with all of the different parking regulations in each of the signs. and with the goal of really having a centralized data source so that we as a department can use it quite efficiently, but also the public can use some of this information. So say things, for instance, of Uber or Lyft driver who need to know what a parking policy might be and so forth. Some other things that we're aiming to do is really digitally monitor curb utilization. So we have existing things in the public right of way, such as parking meters that give us a litany of data from when parking transactions are made or when a meter is occupied. But we're also looking at other ways of monitoring the curb so that way we can get a better understanding of really what happens at the curb. And then also with the intention of being able to understand this in the context of safety and being able to promote access to the curb for all users and do that in a safe and efficient manner. And then lastly is having a data platform to manage all of that information that I just described to you. So this project we've had in the works for well over a decade. So you're probably wondering, why are you just hearing about it now, or what's really happened to it? And really the reason for that is it started a long time ago with our parking reform group. However, the technology really wasn't there. There wasn't a lot of vendors in this space to really help us meet the needs. Then we had COVID, and we were set back and funding shortages and so forth. But now we have the opportunity through a federally funded grant called the Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation, or SMART grant. And through this grant, we were able to use different sort of technologies and data to advance transportation initiatives that in a number of different categories. One of the great benefits about this project is that we are one of 10 other cities nationwide that received a similar grant for curb management. So LA is really not alone, and we can really lean on a lot of other cities in learnings and understandings and adapt how we can best implement a curb management program. So when we came up with the grant, we really selected downtown LA for a number of different reasons. But one of the key reasons is the fact that there are so many diverse curb typologies in the area. There's competing demands at the curb, and there are a lot of stakeholders within downtown LA. So here's just a quick overview of the project area. We split it up into 5 different zones, primarily just for data collection purposes. That's really what those boundaries are for. But the goal of the project is to collect data for the entire area. And so stuff that we've completed thus far, so we've done some project planning and design. We've done a number of outreach and stakeholder engagements with folks from this neighborhood council as well as other stakeholders in downtown LA. Done some baseline asset assessments and so forth. Also looked at curb space policy and some equity in how we apply these policies in the future as this project develops. So really, I'm sure many are familiar with challenges at the curb, but as a department, we're really thinking about curb management through the lens of this finite space at the curb. So as I mentioned, there's a ton of competing uses at the curb. In this particular example, we have the initial curb space that has been allocated towards parked vehicles, but as we've seen an increase of passenger and loading and unloading uses. We see a number of commercial delivery and parcel deliveries within these spaces. And we've also started to implement more active transportation infrastructure. So you can see how all of these different competing uses for such a narrow space means that we really need to think about how we efficiently use this and direct traffic. how we can utilize data that we collect through this. So, as I mentioned, we have a number of different sensors. We have parking meter sensors. We don't necessarily have in-ground parking sensors, but we are looking at doing some curb monitoring just through some digital cameras that would help us identify whether vehicles within a space or if it's parked in a travel lane. So, for instance, like in this, you would see a vehicle that's again parked in a bicycle lane, and we wouldn't really be able to tell that from just a parking meter. But through these different data sources, we can identify where there are violations at the curb and really try and adjust the curb in a way that eases all of these conflicts so that it's safe for active transportation users, the gig economy workers that are trying to use the curb for dropping off passengers, or for parcel and commercial delivery drivers. And again, we can see how this could be used in the future for, say, dynamically managed curbside spaces through like e-ink signs. This isn't specifically something that we're doing in this phase of the project, but we hope to do it in the future to be able to create more flexible curb spaces with different uses and relay that information to the public. And that's really important, I think, and kind of leads into being able to use it for large-scale event planning, things like the 2028 Olympics. And so being able to use all of these technologies to help facilitate access is critical for us to be able to deliver safe, efficient game transportation for all modes and users, whether you're able or disabled. So this is really where we're looking at this through the lens of really trying to create a safe and equitable access to curb space. So really quickly, I'll just touch on some of the data specifications that we've done to build this out. And this may be relevant to some folks who are a bit more technically inclined, but essentially we've developed the curb data specification, CDS for short, and it's just a digital toolkit that allows us to better manage our curbs. But it's split into 3 different application programming interfaces, or APIs. And the one that would be most, I think, relevant to public or folks who are trying to interface with the curb and understand, hey, what is the parking regulation at this curb, is the curbs API. So I'll show some slides in a moment that kind of demonstrate the curbs API in use, in action, that folks can go to today. But if you wanted to do a more programmatic sort of approach to this, and you wanted to see what sort of regulations we've collected in downtown LA, you could do that through these APIs and so forth. But I just want to go on to like data collection and the platform. So downtown LA, it's a big area. We've had to do over 200 curb miles of digitization that has all been pretty much hand checked there, and so it's been a lot to go ahead and inventory. We've done curb panes, some objects, things like bikes, bike racks, bus stops, and so forth, and then the parking regulations or policies. It's really critical that we get the accurate data. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm sure we're all somewhat familiar with these totem poles. It can be kind of difficult to understand, especially within the context of the Olympics, where folks will not necessarily be familiar with our regulations and how best to understand them. We're trying to give them more tools on being able to make sure that they're compliant with the parking regulations, and so that everyone is able to access it and really understand the curb. And so, as I was mentioning, we do have a public-facing dashboard, and I'll share all these slides afterwards. But you can see how the data that we've collected, we've put together a dashboard that you could see. For instance, I chose the Bank of America Financial Center for this. If you're just trying to drive your personal vehicle, you can see the parking regulations. Monday through Friday, there's a farmers market there, and so I believe that's why it's no parking on Fridays, and shown here. But here's just an example of what it looks like from Google Street View, so you can verify that yes, indeed, this is metered parking. Same thing if you want to do the same exercise. If you're a taxi cab or a passenger loading, or if you again aren't as familiar with the area, we've gone ahead and digitized all of that information for you. And you can see the policy that supports that regulation that I just mentioned. And then lastly, if you are a commercial loading vendor and you need to find where to drop off a delivery and what spaces we have in that area, again, we've digitized that data for you. So this is just really quickly a lot of the work that we've done to date. We still doing a little bit more of the digitization effort, but we're really looking to kind of lean on the public and see how you all would best use this. And if there's any additional use cases that you would all like to see, we definitely want to hear some of that feedback. So again, I've got this survey for folks who would like to take it. Feel free to share it with other folks. It's open to all who are regularly interact with the curb in downtown LA. And I think all of us really do interact with the curb. Doesn't have to mean that we're a motorist, but you can be a pedestrian, active transportation user, or a commuter. In some way, you are interacting with the curb. I'm pretty much scared of that. But yeah, that's just a really quick update on what we've done so far. And so if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. And again, if you have any other questions in the future that I don't answer today, or don't have any answers to, you can always send me an email.
All right, great. Thanks. Thanks, Zachary. Does anyone have any questions about the presentation here? Right, we've got one.
Hi, can you?
Yes.
Thank you. This is actually pretty interesting. It seems like it's the realm of work I do, which is what they call the Internet of Things, or in my case, the Industrial Internet of Things. Yes, all sorts of sensors doing all. One of the things that I had a question on is for the front-facing digital assets and some of the actual hardware that these applications live on. I'm just curious on if you guys have one vendor or a series of channel providers, and sort of what the selection criteria was for choosing those vendors and the software suite, and lastly, whether there's any sort of policies either on the city side, maybe on the state side, or even just an internal policy you guys have for considering not reusing, but formally considering open source options as a solution to meet some of the needs to do some of the dashboarding and so on.
Yeah. As far as the hardware side of things, I can say that right now we're just kind of working with the existing data sets that we do have. So we have a couple of different vendors that we use for parking meters, I believe. I would have to get you a list of those. But as far as the software side of things, the selection criteria was essentially those with an existing background in working with curb management or curbside assets. And so to answer your question, it basically is the data platform is aggregating all those vendors' data streams onto one central platform. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's really one of the goals of the project is trying to centralize things a little. But as we look to scale up, we will have to work with all those other vendors that work in different areas of the city. So that was kind of part of the criteria. And then as for some of the open source regulations and policies, I wouldn't necessarily say it on the side of maybe the dashboarding, but our partners with the Open Mobility Foundation, they are putting together all of this, the curb data specification as an open source model. So anything that we as the city of Los Angeles do, the next city can go on and learn from what we've done here, and vice versa. As I mentioned, we're working alongside a bunch of other cities to do this work. And so one of the benefits to having an open source model is that we're all working on this data specification together. And so it's not necessarily proprietary just to LADOT or anything like that. So it really gives us an opportunity to work with the public and the private to really create a standard of what is it we should be caring about at the curb as it relates to our policies, our meters, and other objects that live in the public right of way.
Great, thank you. Looks like we have one more question from Lionel.
I was curious, how will temporary parking restriction signs affect your data? Because sometimes there's events in downtown, streets are closed just for 12 hours, one day, things of that nature.
Yeah, we haven't fully worked out that workflow yet on the temporary parking signs. So if there is a event currently, it's all done kind of manually and might show up probably a day before or something like that. But yeah, I know that is one of the things that we're working towards integrating in the workflow because the curb changes regularly with as you mentioned events. We also do a number of updates to signage and parking policies throughout the year. We put work orders, so that's something that we're actively working on getting a little bit more streamlined. But yeah, it's something that we're hoping to roll out soon.
Quick follow up to that. Is there any way to integrate when parking enforcement will be enforcing those areas?
In what sense? You want to know when our parking enforcement, or like when they'll be out in the field and checking?
In that section, I know some other cities have it where if the parking is gonna be towing vehicles, they'll notify, you can be alerted for that.
Yeah. No, we haven't really thought about doing that as part of the platform. But it's definitely something worth considering. Yeah. Do you know which cities in particular?
I think Pasadena does that. That's a notification of before you get towed, so that you can come and move your vehicle.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, great, thank you. And yeah, so you'll send us the slides from that as
Yes.
well? Great, perfect. All right. All right, I'm gonna ask if any other folks from city, county, state, federal government would like to speak here. All right, we got Jarvis.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Just want to let you know that we were here. That if you had any questions for us, we are able to take them. My coworker, Laura Hamilton, should be on as well. But no big reports. Just one thing is that if you have not heard that the Care Campus on Crocker Street um, has opened. They had a soft opening today. I'm sorry, soft opening yesterday with a grand opening on June the 12th. I just want to ensure that everyone knows just because that campus is opening is that the refresh spot will not be closing. I know that there were individuals out there who were thinking that they were closing, but they will not be closing. There's too many people in Skid Row, too many individuals inside and outside of Skid Row that need assistance. And so the refresh spot will not be closing. But the Care Campus did have a soft opening yesterday and with a grand opening on June the 12th. And that's it right now, James.
All right, thanks, Jarvis. Always appreciate you coming by. All right, we have Ursula. Hey, Ursula, you're up there. If you just unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Ursula Parr. I'm the senior field rep here for Shadale Hawari, which is assembly member for AB 57. I just wanted to introduce myself to all of you, invite you to call our office, or if ever you guys want to meet all of our staff or have any questions, or you would want to discuss anything, please let me know. We're also going to be hosting an event this Saturday. It's called From Impact to Action. This is a community event for any of our residents or family members or who have family members that have been impacted by the system. This is one of the my member assembly Shadale Hawari's pillars, which is restorative justice. We're going to have an event for the community, resource fair. We're going to have tons of information for community to learn about what organizations are out there to help, and if they have any questions with anything. And that's it. And thank you for having me here.
Great, thank you. Thanks for coming by. All right, I think that's it. For elected representatives, do we have any liaison reports? All right, Anna?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a myth that everybody comes to me, in particular the older resident of the district, who many of them are illegal immigrants. The Trump administration does not honor the sanctuary city status quo, period. And we have had several immigration sweep where they take people away and deport them. And so, and they come to me and they ask me, in particular, elderly illegal immigrants. So they asked me what's the solution, which, to be honest with you, I don't have. But that's something I feel we need to address at some point because it's affecting an enormous amount of people in the fashion district. Because they have a lot of hubs where people manufacture clothes, and a lot of these people who are working, who are elderly, are not legal immigrants. So that's what's been happening.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Anna. All right. I don't think we have any other reports or elected officials, so we're not going to hit quorum tonight. We reached out to a bunch of folks and we didn't get there. So thanks all for coming. Really appreciate those who did did show up, and we'll meet again soon. All right. All right. Bye, everyone.